Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about how we can read input from the user. For example, sometimes we may have to write a program in which we expect a user to enter certain information. It can be in form of a say number, float, or a string. For example, I want to write a program that I want user to enter two numbers and I can display sum or division or multiplication of the numbers. So here I want user to enter two numbers. So it means that I'm expecting some input. Okay. So for example, I want to write a program in which I want user to enter their first name and last name, and I want to display their full name. Okay. So we have studied few inbuilt function in Python, for example, print, input, int, float. So we are going to use them in this example and see how we can use these functions to read input. And if we want to convert something, for example, I read a float value, but I want to convert it to an int value. Okay. So these are the few concepts I will be talking about in this program. Okay. So using input function, as we know, we can read input. Okay. So if you want to read a little bit more about this function, JupyterLab provides you a little bit of help. So you can click your mouse inside this and press Shift Tab. So here you can read. It reads a string from a standard input. In this case, standard input is our keyboard. If you want to read something from the keyboard which is entered using keyboard, I can use input function. So I can write a prompt here and I can display a message which will be shown to the user. I can write here, enter your first name. Okay. Similarly, I can create another frame. I can call it last name. Now after I read this, I can display it, and I can just say, I can display a small message, just say hello, and I can use this f name, and I can say last name. I can say last name and see what it gets printed. So if I run this, I'm getting this box here. I can write first name, and let's suppose I can add John. Okay. And if I press enter, I'll get the next name. Okay. And I can add Scott. Okay. Now it says hello John Scott. Because these two are variables, they are stored here, and using this separated by a comma, I can join this. Okay. So this is how it is done. Or if you want, you can create a new variable here and call it name, and you can say f name plus l name. So this will create a combined string. Here I am joining the string. If you remember when we studied operators, plus operator, when it's used with string, it will join those two strings. Okay. So I can try using this. Let me use, and let me call here name and see what I get printed. Okay. So I'm printing in two different ways. One is directly printing f name and l name, and here I'm combining it into a name and then printing. Okay. If I run this, and when you run this, Python interpreter will wait for your input. And if you don't add input, you start doing something else, it will be paused. It will hang. Okay. So then you have to go here and restart your kernel. Here you'll see restart the kernel. So you should always enter some value, otherwise this file will be stopped temporarily, and then you have to restart. Okay. So here I'm again going to say John, and here I can say Scott, Now here I am joining the string, so you don't see a gap. Here I am first one is I am just using them separately, so you can see there is a gap. Now if you want, I can add a gap manually here by temporarily adding a blank string. So here I am adding a blank space, okay, so that these are separated. So if I run this again, I can add John, I can add Scott. Now the both are same. Okay, so by this example I am showing how you can read input and use some formatting to create output as desired. Okay, you can use separate or you can combine it. So this is a combined string. Okay, if I check the type of these objects, if I check the type of fname, if I run this, it will be a string. Okay, now let's create a program in which I want to add two numbers and I want to add them. Okay, so I'm going to use this and let me call them num1 and num2, and I will say enter first number and here I can say second number. So these are two number. I can display their sum and write a statement like this: sum of two number is, and I can put a comma and then I can say num1 plus num2. Okay, so let's run this program. Let's suppose I'm adding 7 and 5, so I should get 12. Okay, but it's displaying 75. It's not displaying 12. The reason for this is whenever you read input function or read using input function, it will be in form of a string. So if I check the type of num, it's not a number or it's a string. So that means no matter what you enter using input, it will be always a string. Okay, and so num1 and num2 both are strings. That means if you use plus with strings, these both are string. If I use plus with strings, they will be joined. So that's why I am getting 7 plus 5 is 75, because 7 and 5 are considered as a text, as a string. They are not considered as a number here. That is a property of input function. It reads everything as a string. So if you want to use anything read using input function, you have to convert it to an appropriate data type. Okay, so if I want to use them as numbers, I want to convert them first. Okay, so I can convert them using int or float function. So if I say int, this is an int function, I can convert it. So you can use parentheses. So these parentheses are for input function and these parentheses are for int function. So this int function is used to convert. So this will convert whatever you enter to integer. So now if I run it, if I say 7 and 5, now I'm going 12, because now the type has changed. Now the type is int. Okay, so that is the concern when you use input function. So input function reads everything as a string. So if you want to use something for any mathematical operation, you have to convert it. Similarly, you can also use float. Let's suppose I can also try a float value. I can say 7 and I can say 5.5. Now I'm getting 12.5. So these ints and floats, they are function they are used to convert. Okay, so most of the time we convert the moment we read input, we convert it and store it into a variable so that we don't have to worry later. So now it has become a float. Okay, so this concept is very important because input function is used to read input. It reads everything as a string, and if you want to read anything read using input function for any mathematical operation, we will have to convert it to its appropriate data type. It can be an int or float. So here I am converting one value to int and another to float. Depending upon your program, you can use any one of them. Okay, so in this video I just want to talk how to read inputs and how to convert inputs when we want to use them for any mathematical operations. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.